Hey, y'all, I'm Ebony K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my love. Anything on your heart before we get into this docket?
No, it's just if anything else, I'm grateful to be of service to the people in this way, right? We provide necessary information to an audience of people that need it. And although it makes me want to kick their ass sometimes, I think that it is important, and I'm humbly grateful to be here. So that's it. How you and my baby girl doing over there, E?
Baby Liberty and I are just living a dream. But I want to say, the fact that it lights a fire under you, that means you just doing the good work. You getting into the good trouble. And that's a good
And
place
I
to be.
thank you. That's
Oh,
on John Lewis.
that's on John
Okay.
Lewis, and the feeling is very mutual. So let's get into it. And this is a nice little mix of the docket today. So on today's docket, we're going to get into the also good-looking actor Jesse Williams of Grey's Anatomy's fame. Y'all know he's been going through a very messy divorce. The divorce is final, but it was extremely messy. And he and his ex-wife, Erin Drake Lee, share 2 children. And that has been an absolute nightmare in terms of their custody, the support, the this and that of it all, their boyfriends, ex-boyfriends, girlfriends. It just couldn't be more of a mess. And so we do have an update where Jesse Williams is getting full custody of his children's health care, specifically their health care piece. So we'll get into the specifics of that. But Jesse Williams has lost one of his other legal battles that was kind of involved here, and that was something he had going on against his ex-wife's current boyfriend. And the boyfriend's name is Peace Reedberg. Very interesting name. But we'll get into the details of that. And then we're going to go on and address an issue brought to us by one of our jurors, actually. So we want to shout out this particular juror. And she made a comment, Dustin, on one of our YouTube videos of a previous episode that we aired last week, talking about how potentially Trump could be held into criminal contempt of court. Remember we talked about that and what that would look like? And she made a good question. She said, well, ITE, what are the ramifications? I hear you that this could be a path, this could happen, but kind of like, what is criminal contempt of court? What does that mean exactly? What are the ramifications if indeed he does end up going down that path? And I thought that was a really brilliant and important question. So I wanted to really take an opportunity to let the jurors know what does that really look like? And what's the real impact of if indeed he ultimately is found to be held in criminal contempt of court? What does that mean for a sitting president? Okay, but first, the Jesse Williams of it all. Missing out on a show that everybody else is talking about just isn't an option for me. I am constantly signing up for this streaming service or that one, and then after a few months, I realized I've been paying for the service way after I finished the show. Yeah, sound familiar? I thought so. In fact, I actually learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused every month. And I also just learned about Rocket Money, where you can see all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancel the ones you're not using anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app, and it helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and even helps you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when you use all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted and unused subscriptions and help reach your financial goals even faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/holdingcourt today. That's rocketmoney.com/holdingcourt. rocketmoney.com/holdingcourt. All right, so y'all know Jesse Williams, the actor, Grey's Anatomy. I'm trying to think of, am I missing? What else has he been in? I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm
I
just trying to
can't
think
think
of
of
what else he like. Yeah.
films. I don't know, but obviously his claim to fame was the Grey's Anatomy situation.
Yeah, I
for
think we
sure.
might have seen him in some, Lifetime or Hallmark holiday films.
Mhm. Mhm.
That feels right.
Something like that. Something
Something
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyways, whatever it was, I'm sure the Grey's Anatomy money was long enough to sustain,
Mhm.
because it is just living in perpetuity. We know that again, like I said, he was married even before we became aware of him. So this was early in his career. He was a teacher and he'd married a young woman, Erin Drake Lee. They were married for quite a while and they had two children during the course of their marriage. Now, keep in mind, fast forward, they had a very, 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 very nasty, messy divorce because there was no prenup. There was, a massive ascension on the part of Jesse Williams in terms of profile and money. It all ended quite messy, but they got it done. Divorce was finalized, but was what has not been cleaned
Mhm.
and kind of put to bed, so to speak, are the issues around their two children. This has been a mess. It seems like Dustin for at least 5 to 6 years. I mean, this is ever since before Holding Court even launched, and our show's 5 years old as we sit in season
Mhm.
4. So
Mhm.
this has been
Mhm.
nonstop. So at this point, Jesse Williams is back in court with his ex-wife. He is fighting for 50-50 joint custody, okay, physical custody. So he wants to see and have his children 50% of the time, but also sole legal custody. Okay. And again, as I reviewed in a previous episode of Holding Court recently, the legal custody piece, that is the decision making part, Dustin. That means that you're making the decision over their health care, oftentimes their
Mhm.
education. This is the CEO of it all. The CEO, the decisions around the children's well-being and their lifestyles. And then the
Mhm.
50-50 physical custody is literally where they will reside, where they will be, and who they will be with. So basically, the judge says yes to Jesse Williams' ask of 50-50 physical custody of his two children, right? So that means that Jesse Williams will have the children 50% of the time, and his ex-wife Erin will have them the other 50% of the time. Now, where Jesse scored a real legal victory is Jesse was asking for and did receive full legal custody as it relates to the children's health care. So that means he
Mm.
will not need to seek approval or even consult really with his ex-wife Erin as it relates to the health and health care of his children. So that's what he wanted and he got it. Now what he didn't get,
Mhm.
Dustin, he was also seeking it's called like a motion for information where
Mhm.
basically you ask the court to allow you to basically receive like a dossier of sorts, a file, a background check. I need to know some information about
Mhm.
this other
Mhm.
party
Mhm.
that is having access to my children. In this case, this is the boyfriend of his ex-wife. But the court, Dustin, said nah on that. That motion for information about the ex-wife's boyfriend was denied. So Jesse Williams will
Mhm.
not be getting any tea on the ex-boyfriend, but he did get that legal healthcare full sole custody, and then he gets the 50-50 physical custody with his children. What's your take on it so far?
I'm not a fan of the strategic gameplay when it comes to custody of the children, the divorce situations,
Yeah.
any of that. I'm always a proponent of keeping it player. So this is a
Mhm.
little too murky for me. It just off rip. I don't like them going back and forth in this way. So I don't know. I don't know where I stand on this one, E. I don't know.
Yeah. It's because it's a lot, and it's probably a lot that we don't know. So I think that's fair. Very, very fair,
Yeah.
Dustin, for you to kind of punt on this one. Because it's just it seems like there's missing facts because I'm curious as to know
Yeah.
why he felt he needed so
The
physical
motivation for
excuse me.
that, right?
Yeah, like, and why specifically around the healthcare piece, and that's not our business, but it is interesting that because the public filing has let us know that he was concerned enough to seek the solo decision making as it
Mhm.
relates to his children's healthcare. To your point, it raises more questions than it gives us answers. But I put it on the docket, jurors, in case you're wondering, because I want y'all to know that these are options that are available to you. Here's an example where I think it could be very important, Dustin. Let's say you the baby daddy, you Liberty baby daddy, right? And the
Mhm.
relationship between us has deteriorated similar to that with Jesse Williams and his
Mhm.
ex-wife Erin. So we just not
Mhm.
we not able to keep it no kind of player. It's just a mess. But we still are co-parenting this lovely child. And let's say Liberty was showing signs of developmental delay, which this is
Mhm.
very real. We parents are dealing with this
Mhm.
every single day all across the world and all across the country, and certainly within our communities as Black folk. And let's say I'm hyper vigilant and I'm saying, hey, she's almost 8 months. She should be doing this. She should be doing that. She should be making some kind of sounds, and she's not. I'm concerned. I want to take her to get evaluated to see if, there's something going on. If she needs therapy, what do you call it? Occupational therapy, see if maybe there's autism
Mhm,
going on.
mhm,
I want to take our daughter to be evaluated so we can get in front of any issues if there are indeed anything, that we need to be aware of. You could very easily say, Dustin, nah, I don't think so. She's fine. She's fine. You're tripping. I don't think there's anything that we need to be concerned about. And frankly, I don't want to hear no bad news about my baby. And I know that some of y'all are going to hear that and think that's just me being wild and dramatic. I'm telling you from true stories that these are the
mhm,
conversations that some parents are having. I'm talking about parents that are together, parents that are married, parents
mhm,
that are split up, parents that barely speak. This is how far apart people can be on these types of issues. So one of the reasons that I would then at that point, and this is true T, if that was the situation, I would run to
mhm.
the courthouse to file for sole legal custody as it related to my daughter's health care, because I'm absolutely not for one fucking minute going back and forth with you, my beloved Dustin,
Mm-mm.
or anybody,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm.
about making sure that my daughter gets the care that she needs as soon as possible. And I don't give a damn about what you think and what you believe and yada yada, what you don't want to know because it could be. We're going to the doctor.
Right.
We gonna find it out immediately.
CMOS can't fix this, and that's exactly what'll happen. A lot of these people get these
Mhm.
weird notions. I shouldn't say weird because 'cause I'm not a parent, so let me chill
We
out.
can we can
But
say
a lot of
different.
times people feel like they feel like they have it all figured out, and they feel like an
Correct.
alternative approach is best, and they completely refute the idea of traditional care in a lot of cases like that. People just change and switch up and have different worldviews that
Correct.
now, impact the way you have to co-parent with they ass. And so
Hmm.
this is why the legalities of custody matter, especially when you're
Yes.
not in a marriage or under the same roof, when
Yep.
it comes to making the decisions. This
Making the
is why
decisions.
it's not always about being petty. Yeah.
No, no, that's what I'm saying. This is and that's why again we don't need to know. It's not our business. But when I saw that he sought and received sole legal control over the healthcare piece, it kind of led me down that kind of road. It could be again, it could be vaccinations, it could be just something is going on as it relates to something that's medical or health related that he said she and I are so far apart on this type of decision making that let me just go ahead and be the full executive with the full legal authority to make the decision because we are not able to figure it out. We're not able to compromise on it. And some of these issues, there is no compromise. Either you're getting the vaccine or you're not getting the vaccine. Either you're going to get
Mhm.
the evaluation or you're not getting the evaluation. And that's it, that's all. So we do know that he was successful in getting that. Now, how did we get here? Well, Jesse Williams claims that his ex-wife Erin was interfering with everything, his parenting time, making certain decisions, as I just kind of laid out what that hypothetically could look like. Jesse Williams is claiming that he and his children have a wonderful relationship. And these kids are not like little kids anymore. These kids have to be actually, if you want to look it up, how old these kids are, but they have to be preteens at a minimum at this point, just because this is, again, has been going on for so long. And he's saying that his time with his children should not be interrupted and that he should at least get half of their time. And again, the court agreed. The court agreed that he deserved equal custody physically. And again, now Jesse Williams has the exclusive sole
Mhm.
ability to decide around the medical decisions. Aaron, in turn, of course, she has a side. She says that he has been bullying, that he's been trying to intimidate her, and that he's had selfish behavior regarding the custody. But I do again think it's telling, and this is why it's on the docket, jurors, that some judge somewhere, and not somewhere, we know it happened in the state of California,
Right.
decided that Jesse Williams made a compelling case that he was able and it was in the best interest of the children because again y'all that's the only real law in family
Mhm.
law, the best interest of the children in child custody and spousal support, I should say. That's the only law. The judge said that it's in the children's best interest for Jesse Williams to be the sole, solo, only executive decision maker around their health care. So that tells me that maybe Aaron must have said or done something, Dustin. There must be some
Mhm.
kind of fact or evidence that says that her decision making on these issues might be compromised. Might be
Mhm.
compromised because it's just not a typical thing to see. It's really not. No idea. Will not speculate about what that could look like, but
Mhm.
certainly that's a
Mhm.
reasonable legal conclusion. If a judge says that he gets to be the sole decision maker around the healthcare, the judge said that for a reason. So,
Yep.
and there was a hearing, and certainly they were both able to present evidence. And, this is very interesting. Jesse Williams also accuses his ex wife of withholding their children's passports and misleading him about their activities. He's saying that he has made significant changes to his lifestyle to support and accommodate his children, and spending time with him. He says he moved closer to her house. All of those are things that, he should be doing if he wants more time. And he says that even with him being in such close proximity, the number of transitions is unnecessarily challenging for our children. It's just really sad that these two, after all these years, cannot
Mhm.
um get it
Get it
together,
together.
you know? Mhm. Mhm.
It's a damn shame, and at what point, like, you have to be objective when children are involved. It can no longer be a situation that is driven by emotion for you. You have
Mhm.
to be objective, and you have to look at the best interests of the child and let
Yep.
go of the personal connection to the other parent. You have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up in this fucking tornado toilet bowl of bullshit for what? How many years? All these years. It's embarrassing for the kids. It's gotta suck for them. Like, it's just not good. It's just not. So at a certain point, you gotta let it go and move on.
Yeah. And when you say move on, Dustin, I just want to remind yours because I needed to remind myself. Okay, these two were married in 2012. Okay. They got
Mhm.
divorced in 2017. So they were married for 5 years. That is what it is. Okay. Y'all were married. Y'all had two children in that time. But 2017, my goodness, what is that? 8 years?
8
Right. Let's
years?
say
8
eight.
years, yeah.
Yeah, clearly I went to law school and not medical school. But yeah, like 8 years. Come on. Y'all have literally been divorced for 8 years. The children now are 11 and 9. And it's just very, very sad to me that after
Yeah.
8 years of divorce, your children are now getting closer and closer to those preteen years where even more, you know, conflict is bound to live because that's the nature of what happens when kids get that age anyway. This is just very ridiculous. That
Yeah.
the emotional chaos between the
Yeah.
2 of them, because I have to imagine that both of them are contributing on some level, Jesse and the ex-wife, has made this just so damn contentious. So damn
Yeah.
contentious, and nothing about it could be good for these 2 children. And again, with bringing, to me now it's giving shades of, Halle Berry, her ex, Olivier Martinez,
Yeah.
and the new boyfriend, well, he ain't even new anymore, Van Hunt. I think
Van
he's been
Hunt,
around for
uh-huh.
about 5 years now. Same thing where it's like, why are boyfriends and girlfriends being brought
Even
into these kind of
involved,
things?
yeah.
Yes. I just now that is just too damn much.
It's stupid, yeah.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So God bless both of those children. My hope is that now that Jesse Williams, and not just because he's Jesse, it could have been her. When one parent has the exclusive control, it kind of takes the issue off the table. So now whatever
Mhm.
he does around their health care is what he's going to do. Clearly, the judge felt that it would be in the best interest of the children for him to be the one with that decision making power. And I hope first
Mhm.
and foremost, and most importantly, that it works out for the children's best interest. My
Mhm.
goodness.
For
My
sure,
goodness.
please.
All right. Hopes and prayers to the children and all involved. Missing out on a show that everybody else is talking about just isn't an option for me. I am constantly signing up for this streaming service or that one, and then after a few months, I realized I've been paying for the service way after I finished the show. Yeah, sound familiar? I thought so. In fact, I actually learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused every month. And I also just learned about Rocket Money, where you can see all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancel the ones you're not using anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app and it helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and even helps you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when you use all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted and unused subscriptions and help reach your financial goals even faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/holdingcourt today. That's rocketmoney.com/holdingcourt. rocketmoney.com/holdingcourt. All right. Now, next docket item. This was brought to us by one of our brilliant jurors. So shout out to Lorita Bautista. Thank you, Miss Lorita. She asked this, Dustin, what are the ramifications of Trump being held in criminal contempt of court? Because as y'all know, on a previous episode, Dustin and I walked y'all through what could be a race really to hold Trump in criminal contempt. And it would be between judges, all of these judges who Trump has willfully and wantonly and flagrantly disrespected their orders, their judicial orders, by simply refusing to do what they ordered him to do. And in this
Mhm.
country, you actually can't just fucking do that. You can't just turn your
Mhm.
nose up and thumb your nose up at what a federal judicial order requires of you. Okay, even if
Mhm.
you are the president. So, right now, over 10 federal courts, as we speak, have temporarily halted or rejected actions coming out of this Trump administration on everything from spending to birthright citizenship. So, that's 10 judges have said, I should say 10 courts, because some of them have been appellate, not on our watch. Dozens of lawsuits have been filed against this administration and are still pending, as we know. We know that Elon Musk, who is this unelected but clearly very influential advisor to Trump, along with the vice president, JD Vance, they have said flat out, I mean, this is just so, this is what I mean by flagrant and wanton, Dustin. They have said
Mhm.
on public record that the administration probably is not going to do what these judges have ordered them to do if they don't feel like it. They literally are coming out and saying bold as hell, we don't feel like it, so we're not going to. And at least
That's
one
illegal
judge.
as fuck.
Right, illegal, unconstitutional, all the things. Also just undeferential. And let me tell you one thing about judges, and I'm talking about, I know this from appearing before them. They don't fucking like it, Dustin, when you don't show deference to the court. They take it very seriously. And it's not necessarily
Mhm.
around ego, because I know that could sound like, oh, they just want you to kiss their ass. No, 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 no. I said deference to the court. I didn't say deference to that judge. It's a zoom out for a second, jurors. For people that put those black robes on, especially at the federal level, this is about embodying something bigger than themselves, bigger than their district, bigger than their appellate division. And at the highest level, we know it's the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in
Yeah.
all of our land. And they feel
Yeah.
like when you thumb your nose at the ruling that they have handed down, it is a disrespect to the whole body, to the whole judiciary, to a whole one third of the branches of power and government in the United States of America. And they don't take it lightly, Dustin. They're not playing about it. So that's kind of the gravity. I want people to say that's the scope of what I'm speaking to when I talk about Trump, JD Vance, and Elon Musk. Yeah, we heard what y'all said, and we don't give a damn about it because we're gonna do what we want to do anyway. That's the kind of proportionality that we're talking about. Okay, just I'm gonna run this right down, and then I absolutely
Mhm.
want your take. At least one judge has ruled that the administration has not adequately complied with his order, and there's a couple different options. Because then people say, okay, so the judges said what they said. Trump and them saying, yeah, we heard y'all, but fuck y'all, we don't give a damn. We gonna keep moving how we moving. So now what happens? Again, there's a couple of options. There's civil contempt. Okay, that basically says we're gonna try to force Trump in this case, into compliance. That's the whole point. That would be fines until he complies. That could be, just continuing to issue the fines, issue the orders, reissue them, kind of putting it on your permanent record, if you will. We find the Trump administration in civil contempt. We again find them this, we again order this. And, after enough judges do that, the expectation is that it will force some level of compliance. Many folks are saying that's probably not going to work with somebody as defiant as this motherfucker. So now we have to elevate it, right? Escalate it, if you will. And some judges will absolutely consider a finding of criminal contempt. What does that look like? This is a more severe punishment of disobedience, and the penalties cannot be avoided by later compliance. That's one of the big differences. So even if Trump
Mhm.
eventually does it, that criminal contempt piece is still there. Okay, it's still there.
Yeah.
He has been, well, let me say not him. Let's zoom out. What has been done in the past? There have been cases, Dustin, where government agencies and officials have been held in contempt before. Now, we haven't seen this tested on the president, but we've certainly seen it. We know that Trump, this was when he wasn't president. So, as a former president, he was fined $110,000 for failing to turn over documents in 2022. So that was a civil contempt place.
Mhm.
His Trump's Secretary of Education, Betty DeVos, if we remember, was fined $100,000 for violating
Her
a
dumb
court order.
ass, nothing
Yeah.
ass nothing ass Betsy DeVos. Go ahead, I'm
Right,
sorry.
non-educated ass
Mhm.
secretary.
Right.
She literally was fined in that capacity. And then I think most of y'all probably remember there was a Kentucky county clerk who was filed for held in contempt. It was criminal contempt actually, and was jailed for refusing to issue marriage licenses, okay? Well, let me not say criminal contempt, but she was jailed, and that could also be a mechanism for contempt, is you can actually be held in custody for refusing to issue marriage licenses. In that case, I believe it was same-sex couples. Although I have also seen clerks being held for failing to issue marriage licenses to interracial couples. So that's what it could look like. Contempt could also be, like I said, putting it on your permanent record, reissuing the order with even more aggressive verbiage, more strict in the order. If indeed Trump and this administration claim that they're not acting, hold on. We're almost, if indeed Dustin Trump and his gang and them say that, well, we're not complying because the order is ambiguous, a more aggressive, more specific, more strict version of the original order could be restated. We saw
Mhm.
this in 2025 after a judge ordered, this was earlier this year actually, after a judge ordered Trump officials to unfreeze the federal funds. Remember, he immediately put that
Mhm.
executive order out, freezing all the funds, and the whole nation went into shock, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, a judge said, unfreeze the funds because that is unconstitutional. And again, ultimately, I believe that will be found to be unconstitutional because the money, the purse, the pocketbook is up to the Congress, not you, Mr. President. Anyways, they delayed compliance, claiming that the ruling was unclear. But the judge said, well, let me make it more clear for you, and simply reissued the order with very, very exact actions required. And ultimately, they did have to comply with that, and they had to release the freeze on those federal funds.
Mhm.
And so it's a lot. It's a lot. The court can issue what we call a writ of mandamus, okay? This compels the officials to perform the legally required duty. So it's just a retelling and a retelling. You know, it depending on who the official is from the administration, if it's somebody from the DOJ, for instance, or somebody like that, they have even more ability to be sanctioned. They can be fined, they can be disbarred, they can be suspended from the practice of law, and all of that can be used as a punishment. Who will be enforcing these court orders? That is a very good question. Who has oversight? Oftentimes, it's going to be federal prosecutors, depending on who they are. They may or may not be helpful here. A U.S. Marshal Service, again, could or could not be helpful. Um, Typically, people comply, but we know that Trump is not typical. But even he complied with most of the court orders from his first term. But we see that he seems to be acting more defiantly, Dustin, and more aggressively
Mhm.
so far in this particular term. So I don't know. I can tell y'all this. If the Trump administration continues to openly defy these court rulings, it will lead, not it could lead, it will absolutely lead to a major constitutional crisis. Ultimately, I believe the Supreme Court will get to decide who is overreaching. Is this the federal judiciary overreaching, or is this what I think is really clear and obvious? Is this the executive branch, Donald Trump as the United States president, trying to usurp the constitutionally designated power of an equal branch of government known as our federal judiciary. So that's what it could look like.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up because for so long we've seen Donald Trump be held to no standard, not have to face any real
Mhm.
consequence for his behavior,
No
no matter what
accountability.
kind of legal proceedings have taken place. So to hear you
Mhm,
clearly define and lay out what the contempt piece looks like, that's
mhm.
comforting actually, that we know that something can be done because it feels like this motherfucker can just do whatever he wants to do. And it does, and
Yeah,
there's no consequence, there's no accountability. So thank you for that. And thank you for
yeah,
asking
the
that question
reality
to the young
is
lady who wrote in.
absolutely. Thank you to our juror. Brilliant question. And I hope kind of clears that up a bit. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be
Hmm.
straightforward. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but what you should have gotten from that breakdown is there is a mechanism. There are a handful of tools available, including fines, at some point, maybe some being confined in custody, some jail time. It has happened. Again, these are untested with a president. I do want to be clear and honest about that. Untested with a president, but untested doesn't mean impossible. It means we've never
Hmm.
seen a president act so defiantly, openly defiant to a federal court. So how
Mhm,
far his content can go, we is yet to be seen is the answer. It's yet to be seen because we are literally in uncharted territory, y'all. But do know that there are mechanisms that can be used to force compliance. And that's where we are. We're at a place where it's clear that compliance cannot be presumed. It cannot be taken for granted. He will continue, I believe, as well as Musk and these others around him
mhm,
to openly, verbally defy what federal judges have required and ordered them to do. But know this, some of that is talk, meaning we don't we're not going to do that, but then ultimately quiet is kept, you actually end up doing it, okay? You actually do end up in compliance because you know that there are these other mechanisms that will force your hand to compliance. Um
mhm,
and I just think, the other piece of holding Trump accountable is beyond the contempt. I think we gotta look at the ultimate politics of it all, right? So, in addition, what can because right now, and I keep saying it every episode, Dustin, the only thing that is even allowing the possibility of accountability around Donald Trump and this administration and its absolutely breakneck speed of trying to actively destroy the very
mhm,
fabric of our nation is the federal judiciary, right? I've been saying it over and over and over and over again. And God knows most of them are doing what they can, the best they can with what they can. But don't forget, there is a third co-equal branch of government known as the legislative branch, comprised of the Congress and the Senate. So y'all heard Hakeem Jeffries. He said he ain't got nothing on it. But let me tell y'all the good news is, well, it could be good news. He could have something to put on it. Now, I want to be clear, this is a very unlikely scenario this year. But keep in mind, y'all,
mhm,
2026 is around the corner. Those races, meaning those congressional races, should be underway right now. Now, I'm not going to
mhm,
overly concern myself on this show with exactly what they look like. But what I am hearing, Dustin, is that the Democratic leadership, as they well damn should be, identifying which seats they are likely to be able to flip so that, long story short, the Democrats can regain control of the House. If they are able to regain control of the House, it goes without saying that Donald Trump and this administration and this agenda will be significantly crippled, okay, will be
mhm.
significantly impacted if and when and if that were to happen. But right now, why you hear Hakeem Jeffries saying, hold on. Thank you. Well, oh Jesus. But right now, why you hear Hakeem Jeffries saying he ain't got nothing on it and what leverage is because he's technically right. Okay. The Democrats don't control the House, they don't control the Senate. And that's why right now everything is falling on the federal judiciary because they are the only branch with anything to put on it. Okay. But again,
Mhm,
Donald Trump knows and his administration, Dustin, know that this could change with simply the blink of an eye. And by the blink of an eye, again, I mean this very thin, kind of depending on how you count, 4 or 5 seat majority that the House currently enjoys on the GOP side. Um,
yeah,
4 of those seats right now are vacant. There are special elections happening right now in year one. Now, again, I don't expect the Democrats to um, break even here because they would have to win all five potentially of the seats. And I say five. Let me go to woo! Thank you. Okay, I say 5. Let me oh my god. Let me go to the scenario and where in which case, Dustin, there would be a 5th vacancy, and in which there would be a 5th seat. And again, that's the magic number that the Democrats would need, in order for them to be within kind of, um, earshot of getting some power back. Donald Trump had nominated a Republican congresswoman from New York, okay, to be the UN ambassador. And everything was, set up for her to go ahead and be nominated. And we know that he's been a complete bully around his nominees, and even the most unqualified have been confirmed, okay, because he's made it clear that any Republican senator that does not support his nominee will have blood to pay because that is how he
Mhm.
is. That's his leadership style. It is an absolute bully. So anyway, this woman would have been confirmed, no doubt. But what it would have done, Dustin, is it would have vacated her congressional seat. And Donald Trump is finally getting the memo that he is skating on thin ice in terms of leverage and power. His majority base on the Republican side in Congress is thin. It is just these kind of 4 or 5 seats. And if he were to vacate this Republican seat, that opens up and triggers a special election, which Republicans could win but could lose. And he really can't afford to lose any of the leverage. Because that is the
Mhm.
mechanism in which he is steamrolling the American people as we know it. Okay, so he has actually now pulled this woman's nomination. She's very pissed about it, as you can imagine. But he's basically
Mhm.
saying, ma'am, I need you to stay your Republican ass in Congress because that is a part of my firewall of mandating power in this way. So I say that, y'all, to kind of indicate that there is some possible accountability waiting on the other side of the Democrats regaining power in the Congress, okay? That
Mhm.
is very,
That's
very important.
important.
That's important. And then the US Senate, it's an even smaller margin, okay? There's only 3 seats that separate the GOP's majority and the Democrat minority, okay? But then when you have bullshit like Chuck Schumer voting on the Republican side, that kind of undermines what could be. So those are the 2 things that's needed just to wrap this up. If we want to see the federal judiciary have some help by way of holding this Trump administration accountable and slowing down this wrecking crew of a domestic agenda that Trump is forcing on the American people, it will take this. Number one, all of the Democrats, that's what I mean to say, both chambers of Congress, the US
Mhm.
Senate and the House of Representatives, Dustin, must be totally aligned on voting down any and everything that comes out of Donald Trump in this administration. So no more this Chuck
Mhm.
Schumer, well, going with them was the lesser of the two evils because a shutdown is worse. No, 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 no. They must be completely aligned on any and everything that Trump wants, we will vote against. Okay. That's one mechanism of accountability. We
Mhm.
haven't been able to implement that, or I should say, they have not been able to implement that so far because of the shit we saw with Schumer. Now, if they were ever to get on the same page, the other piece, of course, is the numeric majority. If when 2026 elections happen, which is going to be, we're going to blink and it's going to be 2026, y'all. So this is not some long time coming. It is happening fast. When 2026 comes, Dustin, if the Dems can get 5 seats and the Senate can get 3 to 4, really 5 to 6. Anything above that is extra, but that is what is needed because that will put Hakeem Jeffries in a position to tell us something different in about a year and a half from now. He could then say, with a
Mhm.
majority, even a thin majority on the Democrat side in the House of Representatives, that will give him leverage. It will give the Democrats leverage, and then he won't have to stand up there and kind of begrudgingly, but truthfully acknowledge the lack of leverage. Because how can you hold someone accountable when you don't have any leverage? And that's what you hear the man saying. It's about the votes, it's about voter turnout, it is about the Democratic leadership, Dustin, identifying which seats are possible for them to be victorious and making it happen. This is a make it enough moment for the Democrats.
Mhm.
Period. And
Mhm.
if they don't make it
And that's what
enough
we're gonna have to
on the
do.
that's what you're gonna have to do. Other than that, then we're gonna be back in the same boat we're in right now, relying only and exclusively on the federal judiciary. And as we see, the whole reason this docket item is on here today, they can do a lot. They're very important, but ultimately there's a second step around fighting the administration to comply with their order.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
so that's it. That's all, y'all. There it is, and we're gonna be done with it for this episode. So we'll be back. We'll be back in session. Y'all know how we do. In the meantime, stay safe, keep the faith. And what would you like the people to do, Dustin?
Read your terms and your conditions. That's what I want you to read.
That's it. And we understood exactly how you meant that. Thank you.
Yes.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Ebony K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. We've also got our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. And follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.